by far the main problem is corporate media. And their bias against progressives is so insidious. No, and I'm done with them too. Look, and so it's not boy because I was so kind to them before. Uh, no, here's what I mean. Like, I didn't want to say things like there are enemies, there are opponents, because it sounds like what Trump says, right? But they are our opponents. They are. They're our biggest opponents by a lot. They help Republicans, they help corporate Democrats, and they kill progressives. And so F them, F them, F them, F them. So if the New York Times is going to keep lying and keep being super biased, then F the New York Times. Oh, you can't. They're demigods. Oh, we all went to good schools and I did a New York Times crossword. I don't give a goddamn about your crossword. The publishers and the editors are massively biased, horribly, terribly biased, and they're destroying this country.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with multiple things that you just said. I definitely think that you need to find ways to get in the news. I mean, we've seen some of the ads from Gary Chambers have gotten national coverage. Like you have to do dramatic stuff. I mean, I don't think that the twerking video is going to work for everyone, but I think John Fetterman should give it a try. You know, we need every bit of support he can get off of Dr. Oz. But anyway, you want an exciting update?
Mm-hmm.
The Republican Senate primary in New Hampshire has just jumped up to 10% reporting, and for the first time, Chuck Morris has taken the lead narrowly, 35.7% to 35.5%. It is just 0.2 points separating them, but Donald Bolduc is now behind. And here's the thing that I was thinking about as Bolduc was it was getting narrower. So, and by the way, it's only 10%. We have no idea. He could still easily win. He could win by a bunch. So we were already talking about how if he won, the idea that the Democrats spent over $3 million supporting his candidacy seemed like a really risky bet. But if he loses, it is such a massive waste of money to put millions into boosting a primary candidate on the other side. If they don't win, then you don't even get to try your potentially self-sabotaging strategy. And that is $3 million that could have won multiple state Senate and state House races. So we don't know yet. It's stuck right now with this gap of 0.2, but it is possible. Oh, the gap is now 0.4 with Morris winning. So, it's diverging a little bit. Cenk, what do you think?
Joy. So look, let's talk about a couple more ramifications on that story, right? So if Morris wins now, he's now been painted as the moderate candidate.
Yep.
What are you guys doing? What are you doing? So, you got, since Bolduc is the crazy one, Morse seems like the non-crazy one, when in reality, they're all freaking crazy. And now that then leads back to mainstream media, right? So Dave Kohler made this great point a couple of days ago off air to me. So Dave's one of the founders of the network and an old friend. And he said, look, mainstream media, we talk about it like CNN, New York Times, but what it is more than anything else is top of the hour news and radio, local news, those guys. And those guys, even more so than New York Times or CNN, never say the Republicans are crazy. Never. They treat them as pristine, perfectly acceptable, perfectly legitimate, perfectly credible candidates. Even if they're like, this Bolduc guy is saying, let's just get rid of the FBI because they dared to try to hold Trump accountable to the law. Just get rid of him. Perfectly credible because he's a Republican. But every time they talk about progressives, not credible. Radical, not credible. How could these lunatics be credible and we're not credible? So no, it's because you guys are all in the tank. So guys, honestly, we're in a sci-fi movie and we don't realize it. The machines have won. Right now, we're trying to lead a rebellion against the machines. Who are the machines? They're corporations. They are fictions, legal fictions that we created, just like in the movies. We created these robots, and we programmed the robots. And the robots we programmed with only one line of code: maximize profit. And they've taken over the world to do that. They've bought all of our media and all of our politicians. And we're living under the tyranny of corporate rule, where we're all getting squeezed. We're getting the life and certainly the wages and the health care squeezed out of us. And so what you're seeing from the corporate media, mainstream media, is the matrix. We're all plugged into the matrix, and they lie to us 24/7 about how corporate rule and status quo is wonderful and credible and legitimate. And any rebellion or fight back against corporate rule is unacceptable. The circus totally acceptable because it helps to distract you while you're plugged into the matrix.
Yeah, and this is probably gonna be the last thing I say in this, but the one thing that we focus on a lot, but that if this is one of the first of these that you're tuning into, if you're relatively new to American politics, like, you need to understand that these people, the Democratic elected officials, the vast, vast, vast majority of them, including those who look like they're going to cruise to wins here, do not have the same interests as us. And you cannot be distracted by the fact that they supposedly despise the right wing so much. They hate the conservatives, MAGA and Trump and all that. They might, on some levels, they might have some different social values or something like that. But they will choose those people over progressives every single day because the economic interests line up between them and the fascists, far more so. And while they might prefer to not have Trump, saying insane things, or, they may not like the idea of in another state, a women's right to choose being stripped away. They're worried about their taxes far more. And they know that when it comes to abortion access, they're going to be able to fly to a country where they can get access to it. They're not fundamentally scared of fascism. It might not be their preference, but it is their preference over true progressive governments, because that might line up with their social values, but they simply don't value those things as much as their economic position, the position of dominance they have right now, and a position of dominance that they would maintain if the fascists took over.
And guys, what is fascism? Part of it is the state and business interests molding into one entity. And here we are, but yet no one in mainstream media noticed. They don't know that that's the definition of fascism. They don't notice the billions of dollars in bribes that all the politicians get. Think about it, guys. If you're a reporter, it is impossible not to notice the literal billions of dollars in campaign contributions and independent expenditures and PACs. And to say that, no, the politicians are honest, wonderful people who are taking ExxonMobil's money, but not doing favors for them. They just happen to agree with ExxonMobil and Pfizer and every other corporation in the world. Come on, you're not reporters. They're like Mr. Smith. They're the agents in the Matrix. That's who the reporters are in mainstream media. And by the way, a lot of them don't even know because they're also in the Matrix. They live in a groupthink world where they think corporate rule is inevitable and you must comply. And they're not wrong about their particular circumstance. If you're a writer at the New York Times, I dare you to write 2 positive articles about progressives. You'll be fired by the 3rd for sure. And by positive, I don't need you to be biased in favor of progressives. For progressives, a positive article is something that doesn't falsely smear us. That says, hey, you know what? They're actually for Medicare for all. So is 70% of the country. Oh, look at this. The polling indicates that they actually agree with the majority of the country on almost every issue. Those are facts. Show the goddamn polling. Nope, you won't do it because you're in a groupthink bubble where you think, no, progressives are I've been told by every editor and every publisher that they're radicals and we cannot cover them fairly. No way. Look at what CNN did. They came in with a new Republican owner and they said, no, we're going to be fair. Our job is to be neutral. So we're going to cover Republicans and corporate Democrats only. Wait, how is that neutral? Okay, did they put any progressives on there? Did they fire anybody for speaking badly about progressives as they did with people speaking badly about Republicans? Nope. Well, good news for them. They didn't have to. There's no one on CNN ever that talks positively about progressives, so they had no one to fire. It is the corporate machine, and they have made slaves of us all. And on any economic issue, you miraculously, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News all agree. And you'll see it every time, and you just saw it. Student debt relief, incredibly popular in the country. Fox News hated it, CNN hated it, MSNBC hated it. They had analysts that they don't tell you work for corporations or think tanks funded by corporations. Analysts came out, oh, that's going to cause inflation. That's terrible. It's caused inflation. No way, don't ever do anything for the people. You put on the people. Corporations! Oh, look at that. They all agreed. Hey, look at that. I thought Fox News and MSNBC hated each other. Oh, on cultural issues to divide us, they disagree. That's the theater. That's the circus. That's the matrix to distract you. In reality, when it comes to economic issues, they want to all keep your wages lower. And I dare you at MSNBC. I dare a single host at MSNBC, one, to go fight for higher wages and for health care for everyone. You'll get fired in the second episode. And you know it. That's why your coward ass doesn't do it. You're all cowards. You don't do it. You know you'll get fired. New York Times reporters, MSNBC anchors, I dare you to be fair. You'll never do it because you know with absolute certainty that the corporate machine will fire you. So just understand, you're in marketing. You're not in journalism.